Goldstrike's new distribution block, you can go from this mess of wires to this. It's a pretty simple installation actually. Let me show you how it works. So I've pulled back all of the wires just to kind of get them out of the way and get back down to exactly what it would be on a stock bike. So if you're starting this from new, the first thing you need to do is take your seat off. If you've got as many lights as I think you do, you probably already know how to do that. If not, we'll put a link down below to a video that shows you how to take off your seat. So anyway, this is what it looks like back to stock, and we're going to unplug the two rear harnesses for the left side and the right side and plug in the new harness. All right, we want to unplug this in this connector right here. These are for your rear lights. But the new distribution block harnesses plug right into, and they look like this. And then you'll see that that plugs directly into the factory harness here. And we'll tuck that back down in there. And we're going to take these wires and route them underneath this bar. And we'll run them up here. We'll get to this in a minute. Do the other side here. Again, kind of tuck that down into the hole. And we're going to run this wire under this bar too, but first I'm going to pull this off. It will make your life so much easier. So to do that, I'm going to take a screwdriver on the bottom. I'm going to flip this over and show you what it looks like here. That just slides out. There's a little slot here that this tab fits in. So what you want to do is just get a little screwdriver. Don't pry real hard on it. You need to move it about that much and it'll pop right out. And that slides out. That gets this out of the way, which makes tucking all of these wires through there a lot easier. So with this off, it's easy because then you can run this wire down underneath. One little trick is if you run it under there a little bit. Nice and flat. I run it around the edges here. Just right down to this area here. Now we're going to put the distribution block right into the bike. So depending on how many lights you have, this comes with these little pieces that come out like this, and you can just trim the edge of it. If you just have one light, or if you have a whole bunch of lights, you can pull it out like that. So next we want to orient the right and the left. So it says right and it says left. That refers to the side of the bike. It doesn't refer to while this is sitting, because it actually sits in this here like this. So that'll be the right side, and this is the left side of your bike as you're sitting on the motorcycle. To make your life easier, I recommend unplugging this. This is your fuel pump. Just don't forget to plug it back in. If we just kind of tuck that out of the way. Now, to start out, it's good to run your trailer harness wire up underneath just like so. That just gets things kind of moving. And then we're going to take the power and the ground wire. You feed the power to the power side of your battery. We'll hook them up later. And the ground side to the ground, of course. Just to kind of get them out of the way. Now I've set this as the harness from behind. I'm going to tuck it way down inside of here, plug it in, and these wires are designed to sit down inside of the crevice that's down in between your gas tank and the back fender. We'll do the same thing on this side. Kind of feed it down out of the way. You want this as out of the way as possible because you have a lot of other wires to get in. So I kind of tuck it around back. Just like that. We'll plug it in here. And tuck that down. All right, that just sits there just like there. We're going to plug the fuel pump back in so don't forget later. And now we're going to move to connecting the battery. So with the wires run underneath, there's this little bracket here. Run the ground wire to forward of it and run the power wire to the rear. And then we're just going to take the screw off and we're going to put our little connector right on there. There you go. Now the block is powered up and we can run the rest of our lighting harness right down into it. With the power leads run to the battery, I marked all the wires for clarity and segregated them. The right side, the left side, the front side, and the rear, so that each section of wiring can kind of have its own little home while we try to make this really clean installation. So now you want to remove the rubber plugs that are in the distribution block for the holes that you're going to fill, and you can cut and you can remove one plug, you can remove 6, it's up to you. It's nice to set them aside. You might want to use them later if you change out your lights or whatnot, so I like to keep those plugs for future. Now we'll carefully run the leads. And you want to run all the leads and get them all down towards the distribution block before you plug them in, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Here's a little trick about getting the leads to get down there cleanly and in a nice way. You can press down right here on the fender, and that allows you to slide that wiring harness underneath, each lead underneath that bar, and then you just simply gently work the wires back and forth, and all of the wires should go down towards the distribution block into kind of that little space in between the gas tank and the back fender, and the leads should come up from the bottom of the block, and this will give you a super clean installation, which you'll see in a minute. This is a good time to consider where you want to plug in each light. So if you want each of the outermost lights plugged into the outermost outlet on the distribution block, you can do that. Just remember the right side versus the left side. And if you want to test it as you go along, that's always a good idea too. We recommend, if you have the trunk light and a bunch of other lights, plug the trunk light in first, because as you can see, the trunk light has 2 leads coming out of one. There isn't a right and a left coming through the harness on both sides. So if you plug those in the centermost ports of the distribution block in those plugged areas, it will make it so that you won't be stressing the wires at all. It'll be an easy installation and you can just move outward from there. So now you have a very, very clean installation. You know, the wires aren't pinched, they're not stretched, they're not stressed at all. There's 7 lights plugged into this side right now, and then there's room for 5 more, which we do have on the front and I will be doing. I won't make you watch me run every single wire back there to it. You kind of get the idea of what we're doing this year. Anything you did unplug like this, make sure you plug back in, and just stick with us a little minute and I will get the rest of these plugged in. You can see what a full installation looks like. So what we've got here is all of the wires from the front of the bike and the rear of the bike run. That adds up to a total of 24 lights plugged into this one single unit here. And I've gone around with some zip ties and just kind of tightened it up a little bit. So with that last one there, all that's left to do now is to put the seat back on, which now will be much easier. So again, there's 24 things plugged into this thing. It's all powered off the battery and isolated, so you're good to go. You've got your trailer harness here. One other thing I want to show you is the adapters we have for some of the competitor products that you might have on your bike and want to plug in here too. So let me show you that right now. So depending on what kit you have, you can see on the end, this is the same end that plugs directly into it. On this end, we have the pigtail coming out for other models. You can go to goldstrike3d.com and just go to the distribution block page, and they'll have a link there that'll show you what these actually fit. We also have a universal mount, so if you just want to plug something in, this is just a pigtail with open wires on it and has the same or water-resistant plug right here. And you know, then you can run the wires to whatever you want to, knowing that it's isolated in there. So again, these 2 adapters make it so if you have some other lights on there, and you want to still have it be this clean, there's still a way to do that. So again, goldstrike3d.com. I'm Ken for Goldstrike. Thanks for watching.